I welcome you all to Padre Okoromi channel. Today we are here in Badagry, the slave port, to know more about what happened when our forefathers were taken out of the country. So I'm here and here with me is Mr. Abiodun, who is going to really help in enlightening us about the slave trade. You welcome, sir. Welcome to Thank you. So the slave trade, what's
So my name is Abiodun Mobi. So curator in charge Mobi Slave Relics Museum in Badagry.
okay?
So in Badagry here we have a lot of tourist attraction.
Okay.
Number one, we have the Slave Relics Museum, which is where we are now.
Okay.
Number two, and in the Slave Relics Museum, that's where you're going to see the shackles used on slaves during the days of slave trade.
Okay.
After that, we have the first story building in Nigeria as well.
Okay.
We have the slave barracoon, where the slaves were being kept during the days of slave trade.
Okay.
We have an heritage museum, slave markets. So, Badagry was founded 1425, and the slave trade started in Badagry 15 centuries ago.
Okay.
So the trade lasted for good 400 years in Badagry before it was abolished. And all this environment used as a slave corridor. So slave was brought from outside Badagry, from hinterland,
Okay.
like Oyo, Osogbo, Abeokuta, Ibadan, Ondo, different places like that.
Okay.
And during the days of slavery, we have two coasts
In Nigeria.
in Nigeria.
Okay.
We have one in Calabar.
Okay.
The one in the Calabar called Enyon Slave Market.
Okay.
And the market was established 1810. In each market day in Calabar, I think 100 slaves have been sold in a day.
Wow.
100 human beings have been sold every market day. Now here in Badagry, we have Velicated Slave Market, which is VLEKETE. Velicated Slave Market was established 1502 here in Badagry. It was been found before the Calabar one.
So this one was the first before Calabar.
Yeah. In each market day here in Badagry, 300 slaves have been sold in a day.
Wow. Higher than that of
seven-
Calabar.
Yeah, so 17,000 slaves sold annually. And this trade we're talking about lasted for good 400 years in Badagry. So, this place happened to be the way out of our brothers and sisters in diaspora.
Okay.
So, let's proceed. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Shackles used on slave during the days of slave trade. And a slave is a person captured and sold out in exchange to work under tutelage of his masters. Here we have original chain used on slave during the era of slavery. And this chain was brought here by the white men to here around 15 centuries ago, roughly 500 to 600 years now. These very shackles that you're seeing here. At my right side here we have the grave of someone, which is Chief Sumbu Mobi. The man died naturally. His name Chief Sumbu Mobi. He died October 16, 1893. So during his own time, slavery stopped in Badagry, 1886, after the trade lasted 400 years. And Chief Sumbu Mobi's father eventually participated during the days of slave trade. He's one nicknamed Mobi by the white men because Kolanut was called Obi in Yoruba. And majority of Badagry indigenous here, we are all migrated from Dahomey, now Benin Republic. So whenever the white people came to buy slave, Chief Sumbu Mobi's father always offered them with a kola nut, spoke to them in our own dialect. Hontoshe, Miya Viro, means my white friends take kola nut and eat. Why his own name is very difficult for the white people to pronounce, they said calling him Mobi. So that's where the name Mobi derived from. When his father died, the one very years survived his father. He took over after the death of his father while the missionary came in. So he got to work with the missionary and slavery stopped through in 1886.
Okay.
And this is the chief traditional staff of office during his lifetime. Whenever the chief want to go out, one of his daughter will hold this. That is their own tradition. Checking it. So whoever hear the noise, they know that the chief is going out. If it is man, show me this on the way. Man will prostrate, woman will kneel down. That's showing a sign of respect to the chief there. So at my left side here, we call this the neck lock. Each slave has this around the neck, like this. So, late MKO Abiola, he was here around 1991.
Okay.
That is during the reparation campaign. That time, Abiola is fighting for reparation and he wants the white people to compensate against we black and say sorry for slavery. But unfortunately, he died during the process. So any slave animal to the white men, they have these chains around the neck like this.
Wow.
Our brothers and our sisters in diasporas, father, forefather, they have suffered. So another person will have his own and they'll be on the road and the chain will be around the neck like this for good 18 good hours every day.
Wow.
They use the remaining scissors to relax. After fixing these around someone's neck, this was fixed on two people's leg, as in one person's leg here, another person's leg here. They lock it to padlock, and two of them continue working, going at the same time at once.
Wow.
This used on stubborn slave who refuse to work on farm. The force is hands by force, up his wrist. They remove this knot, hang the person up on a very tall tree with one hand, while his two legs will be dangling, punishment for the stubborn slave.
Wow.
This used on children to guide their babies not to disturb their parents while working on sugarcane plantation.
So children were also slaves. They are also sold as slaves.
They pack their children too.
Wow.
So they have to join 2 or 3 kids together like this. They lock down padlock while their parents busy working on the farm.
Wow.
So this used on slave mouth to guide them not to eat or to talk to the one another while working on sugarcane plantation. This was used for 3 purposes. The first purpose is to put this object into a fire when it is very, very red hot. They use it to make an hole here.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? It will be both up and down lips like this. After that, they now fix this.
On the mouth.
They draw the lips out very well. They lock it part up like this and like that. It will guide them not to eat or to talk to the one another while working on sugarcane plantation. The second purpose of using these objects, very small, but it's mighty. The second purpose of using this, any slave trying to run away, or any slave rebel against the white, they use this part to punch his foot, as in his foot will be on top of the fallen tree in the farm like this, and then nail it down.
Wow.
So if you watch a movie called The Root, that is Kinta Kunte movie,
okay,
you will know what I'm talking about. Try to watch it. The third purpose of using this, slave. Slave has name that they are bearing by those white people. They are so callous. They don't allow slave to bear their name. They bear the master's name, which is their own name.
Okay.
They put this object into a fire when it is very red hot. They use it to write the name of their masters and their master's nationality at the back of their slave. So that when they go back to their own destination, they can be able to identify which slave is this. So, this is called cannon gun. The gun stand as time during the days of slave trade, shot 3 times in a day. Then if they want to show this cannon, gunpowder goes through this hole. They light this small hole with a fire and the cannon will explode. The first shot of this cannon, hearing in the morning, signified that they were taking the slave down to the farm to work, which is across of this water.
Okay.
Second one in the afternoon, they have been arrived from the farm down to where they normally kept them, called the Brazilian slave barracoon. You see, that barracoon is a Brazilian word. It means jail, cell, or prison.
Okay.
The third shot of this cannon signify a curfew. Everybody in this Badagry must remain indoors. Anybody caught after the third shooting have to face the consequences, mainly so out into slavery. Because during the holding days, all this environment used as a slave corridor. So slaves used to spend like 3 months within this environment before the white people ship them away to the New World, to the places like Cuba, Jamaica, West Indies, Brazil, America, different places like that. So this is the money spent in those days, which is cowries. Cowries, we recognize cowries within ourselves in Africa as money, but the white people, they couldn't recognize cowries as money. In order for them to buy slave, they practice trade by barter. Okay. So they have to bring things like gunpowder, iron, cotton mirror, umbrella, in exchange of human beings. So like then, a bottle of whiskey like this in exchange of 10 able men, 10 slaves.
So this one is able to give you 10 men.
Yes.
Wow.
So right here, this is where the slaves normally have their drinking water, called the the slave drinking water bowl. When the slave arrived from the farm, they fill out water, they tie their hands back, open their mouth lock with heavy chains around the neck, and ask them to bend down here. They drank like animals. Look up. So let's thank God that we are not yet born during the days of slave trade. So here we have a royal musical instrument found in royal families here in Badagry called a jogan. Whenever king of Badagry or chiefs of Badagry have any ceremony, women use this. As in, women will hold a string, they'll be singing in our own dialect, which is Ogu. Singing, singing, dancing, making melodious sound to the tune of the musical instrument. Why some of the women will hold these gongs, beating it. So we have a different sound. We have a different sound. So behind me here we have a status. Talks about stubborn castrated slave begging for forgiveness. The word looked very, very horrible. You see, during the days of slave trade, some of the white people settled down here in Badagry with some of their families. So, and then we have two categories of slave. We have the feed slave and we have the domestic slave. So the white people use some of the male slave at home like a domestic slave. So in order for such slave to have sexual intercourse with their wife or daughter, they do castrate them. So that is to say, they do castrate some of the male slave during the era of slavery. So here we have the paintings of a tree. The name of this tree called the historical Agia tree. It was called the historical Asesotin Agia tree. This Asesotin means Agia, which is Badagry, our own dialect. Asesotin, which is Ogun. So, under the shade of this very tree, Christianity was first preached in the whole Nigeria here, Badagry, in the year 1842 by Thomas Betch Freeman and Henry Townsend. And the first Christmas service in Nigeria was celebrated under the shade of the very tree. So the tree later fell down 1959. And before the tree fell, it spent up to 350 years. There was a monument there today that represents the tree. So, and this is how the slavery was eradicated in different parts of the world. Slavery stopped in the British West Indies 1833, Australia 1861, United States of America 1863, Brazil 1888, Africa 1870, Badagry 1886. After the trade lasted 400 years. And finally, we have a picture shows the first story building in Nigeria, built 1845 by Reverend C.A. Goldman. Inside this building, the African free slave boy, Reverend Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowder. Ajayi sat down here and translates English Bible into Yoruba, and the Bible that he translated is still there up to date. I think that is all what we have for you in this museum. You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
So this symbolizes how those slaves were being working on sugarcane plantation. Atlantic slaves working in sugarcane plantation. So this is how they work during the era of slavery. And on the floor there we have a big cannon. Big cannon gun. This cannon was brought in exchange of 100 slaves, which is each of these cannon was brought in exchange of 100 human beings. It was brought to wage war and to get more slaves. Why 50 people cannot lift it up now? That during the days of slave trade, 10 slaves can lift it up. Wow. So it was made of melter. Why 50 people cannot lift it up? It is these two cannon, that is 200 human beings. So let's go. So you are welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So here we are now called the slave port. So the slave port in Badagry was established 16th to 18th centuries. So during the days of slave trade, when those white people had a signal that the big ships arrived from the high sea, they marched those slaves from the barrack, which is where the slaves are being kept. So they marched them from the barrack down to this place. They heavy chains around the neck, wide their mouth with pleats and neck with blood, you see what I'm saying? So they marched them down there. So that time, wasn't like this people. They used, side. When they get to the other side, they line them up, change the gear on the bed, the mountain goods and everything else. That people make an island. Yes, to the seashore. Which is, I think you're still going there. To the seashore. But on their way going, there was a well on the road. The name of the well called Attenuation Well. When they got to that spot, most of the people drank at the well. After taking the well, it makes it aggressive. Until they get to their own country before they start.
So what is so special about it?
I think we have something inside like African magic, concoction, that's in conjunction with the chief and white people.
So it means that in a way, our own people are in support.
Yeah.
They are in support of, of what
because
happened.
that time they are in that camp. Well, lost their baby. The slave, they just be thinking of where they are going. They won't be thinking of where they are coming from. Because we discovered that the first set of slaves that went over, they fight, they vote, they fight, and then they kill many whites.
Wow.
So then they even turned the ship to a place now called Haiti, Santo Domingo. So now, and this slave port happened to be the largest slave port in West Africa. This one I can see. So we are moving to the Barrack. Has settled down. And when this man came to Badagry, he was given a title called Seriki. And Seriki means head of Muslims. So that's why the man is wearing Seriki Williams Abbas. So when this man came to Badagry, he also went back to Ogun State where he was captured. He founded 2 towns in Ogun State. He founded Aito in 1902. When you get to Aito today, you will see the status of the man at the roundabout in Aito. Also founded a town called Idogo, also in Ogun State. So I'll talk about the bar later. These are some European products they use in the exports. In Nigeria, then they spend calories. And the white people cannot use our own money. And that's why they prefer to bring some items they use in the exchange of slaves. The value of an umbrella, 40 slaves. Before you can have one umbrella, you will need to produce 40 able men.
40 able men.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still have one of the umbrella in our museum up to date. A bottle of gin, 10 slaves. A big can of gun, 100 slaves. While the small can of gun, 40 slaves. Kettle and the bed and the brass dish are the items given to Seriki by the Brazilians as a gift. And Nino doesn't have a specific number. It depends how you can bargain with white people. Ceramic gold, 10 slaves. Eating gold, 40 slaves. The slaves. And this chain is called heavy chain. Heavy chain is meant for the stubborn slaves. Why this one is called Ankuchakus. So this object is called iron drilling bit. An iron drilling bit, they use it to write their name at the back of their slaves in order for them to identify their slaves. Anytime they want to use it, it will be very, very hot. And during that period, most of the slaves die because they cannot bear the pain. So 40 people are coming to this room.
40.
Yeah, 40 people were kept in this inner room before the arrival of the ship. They feed them once in a day. This is where they wee and this is where they poo. You can imagine how this place will be messed up there.
40 people.
Yeah, and this is the only ventilation they have in the room. And that's why most of the slaves died because of the heat and the odor. A gramophone record used by Seriki then. And there is one of the bottle of gin they brought there. A brass dish cup and mug cup given to the man by the Brazilians as a gift. And there is the money they use in Nigeria that they carry. So these are some bowls they use in the exchange of slaves. The value of one bowl, 10 slaves. So anybody that needs the 5 bowl, we need to produce 50 slaves. So these are some locally made pots used by Seriki then. This is a water pot and this is a soup pot. Why this one also a water pot?
Our people shouldn't have done what they did to our black brothers. Don't you think somehow that our own people too also contributed somehow?
Sure. Even though when I explain to foreign people, Me too, I feel furious. See, you understand? I feel furious. I feel so bad.
We are here in Badagry. We are heading towards the point of no return where the slaves are being taken. And after they cross this side, they are not. We are here now to take boats to the point of no return. From where they take the slave, from where they take them to the point of no return. We are heading there now. But it's no longer called the point of no return because people go there now. Come back. We are now on our journey to the point of no return. Where our forefathers, where they were taken to the point that they got to, and when they get there, they can't come back again to Nigeria. From there, they are taken away. So we are going to that point now. But modernization and civilization has made it that it is no longer a point of no return. It is now a point of return because people go there and now return. So we too, we are going and we are going to return. Jetty. Journey to the point of no return, unknown destination. So from here, many of them do not know where they went, where they landed.
Don't their brain. Just be like until they not get to the other side. Do not be
what are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
It was a horrible experience. Very, very horrible. That our own people, we have to set their own brothers and sisters out for slavery and even support them with African magic.
And that time, before the Atlantic slave trade,
yeah,
we have our own domestic slave.
Okay.
Which is, and that time being a local chief.
Okay.
If they want to know how healthy is you.
Wealthy.
Yeah, wealthy.
Okay.
They will know through your slave.
The number of slaves you have.
They call it Iwofa.
Okay.
In Yoruba.
Okay.
Aha. So now the white people, they have their own too there. They call them Red Indians.
Okay.
And they are no more stronger than we Nigerians.
Okay.
They die. That's why over there they put heads together. Let's go to Africa. When they get here to Africa, they come to Africa through this place.
Okay.
This entrance. It's bushy. That time, thick forest. So they now manage to get to that shore. They now discover that, wow, this place is an island.
Between surrounded by water.
So they manage themselves and move on to the mainland over there.
Okay.
So being the first time of our people seeing the white people, slave spirit, attenuation, well, wow, why taking our brothers and our sisters in diaspora to the shore?
Okay.
They're on their way coming, some of them will be feeling tasty.
Okay.
So they stop them here and they force them to drink out of this well.
Okay. They drink from this?
Yeah, called attenuation well. They took out of this well, they drank out of this well, and they lost their memory.
Okay.
They look less aggressive until they get to white people country before they be submissive.
So was there something like a magic inside the water?
Yeah, the magic, African concoction, in conjunction with the local chief and the white people.
Okay.
I think they put something inside because we took the water to the lab.
Okay.
And we discovered that there's something inside.
So this is the tunnel.
It's the tunnel. Called Slave Tunnel.
Okay.
We call it the Slave Tunnel. 20 days of slave trade. Welcome.
Thank you.
When they march those slaves from the lagoon shore over there down to the seashore here, we march them through this door,
Okay.
the tunnel.
Okay.
So why the big ship in the middle of the sea? Because it can't come down. It can't come down. It will be shallow. So they had a signal that the big ship is
On the IC.
arrive, march them from here down.
Okay.
The chain will be around the neck, the mouth will be clips.
Okay, they march them down from here. Okay.
Why they use small, they use canoe.
Okay.
They load them inside the canoe.
Okay.
How do they get from here down to where the big ship is?
Okay.
So that's where they load them.
Okay.
Inside the
The
ship.
ship. This is the tunnel. They come directly from here.
Yeah, from there.
They come through here and they march them down. Okay. Wow.
So why arranging them? They'll be seeing the big ship. I see. So why am I quite moving? You know where we are going. Where we are heading to.
This is the tunnel where our ancestors, our African brothers and sisters, this is where they were kept while awaiting the European ships to take them out of the country. It is the point of no return. So when they get to this point, they are no longer coming back. Because from here, they sail directly here through the help of a canoe. They get to the middle of the ocean, and so end the history of so many of our black brothers and sisters. So end their recognition of where they came from. The point of no return. This is the channel where the tunnel where they were kept. Human beings were kept here to be taken out of Africa. It's indeed a big one, as you can see. So they march them right from the well and they enter through this direction. While they wait for the ship that will take them.